No, I've had some.
And
Hello, and welcome to AGK Media Friday Fenndango. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a fun night planned for you. We've got emails, we've got texts, we've got announcements, and we have an open phone line coming up. So it'll be a fun night. I think you'll enjoy it. Oh, you know what?
What?
We just had a non-transition transition. They were seeing black screen and hearing us.
Oh,
So,
okie dokie.
all right, we're going to have to do that over again.
Oh boy.
No, they heard it. We're not going to do that to you. Sorry, guys. I had made a transition, and we were changing something, and I didn't transition back. Huh. Amateur night at AGK Media. We didn't get an intro either, so we're going to have to suffer with an outro. All right, so we have introduced ourselves already, so we're not going to put you through that again. And I can tell because everybody's commenting on it right now. Hang on.
There we are.
Yeah. We're definitely on now, but that first 60 seconds, I hadn't transitioned back from the preview to the program.
Ah,
Okay, so good evening, Michelle. How are you doing?
I'm super. How are you, Mr. Toby?
I'm having a good time. Here's your theme. It's Shelley's theme.
Okay.
Okay, so we have some announcements that we want to start with. We want to make the first is the T-shirt contest is up at daleneitzel.com. You can go there, take a look at your favorite, or vote for your favorite T-shirt by putting it in the comments. Each T-shirt design is numbered, and you can put that in the comments box below. I voted for number 15, which I thought was a very original piece of work and very stylish. So I thought it was a very nice one. But go over there and vote. Let people know how you feel. They are gonna take whatever design wins and put it on the Fenndango 2019 T-shirt. So it would be nice for everybody to go over and pick your favorite T-shirt. It doesn't have to be 15, but it would be nice if you made the effort and went and voted. So and all you have to do is enter a comment with the number of your favorite T-shirt. So you want to tell folks about our Wednesday name contest?
Okay. So we got lots of great entries for the name contest for a Wednesday night show. And Toby and I chose one that really popped out at us, and we both liked it immediately. We both kind of agreed that we liked it the best out of all of them. So this coming Wednesday, we're going to introduce that name of that new show to you at the beginning of the show.
And not only is it, and by the way, it was a very difficult decision because there were a lot of great entries and a lot of fun entries. What was different about this one is we came to it independent of one another. We were talking about which one we liked and which one, et cetera, et cetera. And this particular one popped up for both of us. And one of the reasons it popped up for both of us, not only did we think it was pretty original, but one of the things that we thought is it helped us with some branding. And by branding, I mean the things that we do along with it. So, and you'll see a lot of that on next Wednesday night. So the contest is closed. We have a winner. They will get one of the silver coins, and I'll work out with K-Pro how that happens. And we'll make the announcement next Wednesday night, and you'll see some of the branding that we've done along with it. So we think it's very different from It's more playful, I guess
Don't
is the
give it
right.
away.
Oh, okay, all right.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We liked it a lot.
Be there.
We really did like it. So be there on Wednesday if you want to hear the winner and see the new branding and hear what we've called our Wednesday show. Next week is for me is with I'm sure Shelley's help because she's offered help is moving week, and we're going to try to do our normal programming. The problem with it is that somewhere in there, all this equipment has to make a transition, and this equipment is going to take a day to disassemble, to load up into my truck because I'm not going to trust the movers with this, and then unload it at the new place and reassemble, reconnect everything. My only concern is that there may be a day in which we just don't have equipment. We're going to try and schedule around that so that we can see you. But if we don't make a show, we're going to ask forgiveness in advance because it is the week that I'm moving from my apartment to my new house. So we hope you can. We'll do our best to make it. We're certainly going to make at least Wednesday because we promised that, and we promised that's when the announcement. That's when we want to make the announcement and show you the new branding. So. But we're not sure about Thursday and Friday of next week yet, because sooner or later, like I said, the movers are coming on Friday, and I've got to have everything. For the most part, I'm moving some things myself. I'm moving my production equipment myself, most of my clothes myself, but it requires a lot of things be in place. So forgive us.
But
if
and then again, also have to remember that we're changing internet providers. We could hit some stumbling blocks with the internet speed, and what happens there. So be prepared for the changeover to have some, maybe some glitches, and just hopefully you'll be patient with us as that occurs.
Yeah. So I did. I don't know if you guys recall as we were going through all this transitioning. I was with Xfinity, which is a cable service provider here in Albuquerque, and I wasn't happy with their continuity. They could never guarantee me a consistent consistent bandwidth, and so I switched over to CenturyLink, which could guarantee me and has been spectacular about it. They've never failed us. But moving up there, CenturyLink doesn't provide, well, it does provide a service, but at a much slower speed. And so the option was to go back to Xfinity. So I don't have a choice. I'll do the best that I can and get the highest performance system or bandwidth that I can, because I don't use anything else. I don't use cable. I use YouTube TV. And no, Tony, they don't have fiber in Albuquerque, at least to the best it's never been offered to us. So I've never seen fiber. So there may be a little bit of transition pain when we do that, but we don't expect it to be too big. So, but the other nice thing about it is we just made an investment in an adapter, so we're going to be able to go to the DSLR cameras instead of the webcams, and so that's going to improve the quality of the imagery that we send to you. Okay. So you want to say hi to the room before I start reading? Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa, what happened there? As we have a conversation. Okay,
wow.
So you've got to open your.
I just had it open, and and then I guess I must have did something accidental.
Yeah, you did. So don't do. Make sure that you're unchecked. Follow my face, unchecked, and you've unchecked autofocus. Is autofocus unchecked?
I don't know. I got to go back and let's see.
Open it and check.
Oh, I didn't. This little thing moved down here. Okay.
Check autofocus and then uncheck it.
It's not checked. Do you see me now?
Okay, there you are. Yeah.
Oh. The little blue bar went to the flower instead of the mountain.
So yeah, that's honestly, guys, that's how I see Shelley all the time, kind of in a soft focus, world like that.
Completely blurred.
Okay, so if you have questions, well, let me do a couple of other things. Please, sometime during the evening, please like our video. YouTube likes it when you give us likes. Make sure you share the video with your family, friends, neighbors, business associates, and social networks. And if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so that when we do launch a new live stream, you will be immediately informed if you take the time to click on that notifications bell. And then finally, down at the bottom of the chat page is the super chat. If you want immediate attention for your questions, click on that super chat button. It highlights it in a variety of colors depending on your contribution, and we'll get to your question right away. If you don't want to do that, make sure that if you've got a question for us, not necessarily a comment, but if you need to get our attention, you have two options. Number one is to do as Rodney Greenway has done, precede your question with @, the squiggly A, not the ampersand, @AGK Media, and that's AGK space media, and that way it'll highlight it and we'll be able to see it. The other option, of course, always available to you, is you can use the toll-free number. You can send a text to it, 866-597-9901. Also, at this point, you can call that number and it will go to voicemail. After I'm finished with the mails and the text messages, I'll open it up and you can call that toll-free number and we'll put you on the air. Have a nice conversation. Okay, back to you. Go back to your room and say hi to folks.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of chat before we even started the show tonight.
Oh, interesting.
And I think some of it went away already. So I'll start where I can start.
Okay, well, I can start at Alan K. because he was in the room.
Okay, well, why don't you say hello?
Okay, let me do that and let me know when you catch up. And then I'll turn over to you. So Alan K., first one in the room. Hey, Alan. AJ Rainville's in the room. AJ, I still haven't taken the time to respond to your email. I'm sorry for that. Davio22 is in the room. Jason Northface from the Heartland. Karen Werner had started her popcorn early. Hi, Karen. I hope we can look forward to seeing Toby Fan 3000. The Hoosier Sisters, another blue tie. Oh, so this is a conversation before we even started. Back. So AJ Rainville says color is so Wednesday. Friday should be patterns, dots, solid color for the tie. So it's kind of a pattern. Yeah.
It's plaid.
And it's baby blue and pink. So
it's a baby shower tie.
It's a baby shower
tie you wear to a baby shower.
Yeah, with the matching cufflinks.
Ooh, let's show those off. Let's see. Pink. Is the other one blue?
No. Just no, just pink. Let's see, Mr. Bonsai. Buckaroo Bonsai's in the room. February record for snow come summer. Zozo Rocks, I don't know that I said hi, but is in the room. Chris Jones, welcome, Chris Jones. Nice to see you again. Let's see, Gold Dog. That's a new name. I don't recall that name. Hi, Gold Dog. How are you doing? They're talking about the weather, so this must have been before we even started. Dizzy Dean is in the room, along with Pee Wee Reese. J.A. Street, hello, sir. How are you in the room? Yeah, hi to you in the room. Treasure Tracer, at one time, yes. Now just wiffle ball. Oh, so these are conversations that started before. I got it. Let me know when you catch up, and then you can take it up.
I see you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Redneck Express is my next one. So
Redneck Express, and we have Mr. Bonsai 21. Let's see. We have quite the conversation, and we'll just move on down to Davio. Oh, you said hello to Davio.
I did say hi to
Diggers Down Under, the comic chef.
Oh, that's our
Australia.
Friend from Australia. We're going to go opal hunting with him.
Chris Jones is here.
There's did you see SAPA, S-A-P-A West, and Mark Connor? They retracted their messages, so you probably can't see them.
I didn't see them. Mark Connor, I see. On Unknown Searcher, Goldilocks. All right. Bill Cross from Texas is here. Kurt Hensley. Mosaic Mind. It's a nice, interesting name. Jungle Cruiser.
Unknown searcher. Hey, unknown.
23 Monarcha. Tony F, sorry. People call you Tony, I call him Toby. Bo Walker. I haven't seen that name before.
Bo.
Jim's Theory. Dark Sight.
That's a new name.
Remy
Cork's been a couple of nights now.
Hooley. Mr. T. Hooley says, what up, SS? I think that's me. Toby Fan 3000, John Werner. Hi.
Is in the room. Hey, John. Both the husband and wife are in the room.
J.A. Street says, have a contest to see who helps move you, Toby. Call it Toby's Terrific Move Contest.
Johnson Movers. That's who's moving. I'm a big fan of not doing moves myself.
Foxtrot Mike.
Foxtrot Mike. Field Manual 3-25.26. Top
Journeyman is here.
Map reading.
Dave Oran.
J.A. Street said, Toby, Shelley is blurry. J.A., those are your glasses. Shelley's fine.
I was blurry. I made a boo-boo. Percival the Wise. Rodney Greenway.
Oh, so is that a question or Fenn Midwest Media with AGK for the name?
He wanted
Midweek Media. Oh, okay. No, we already got a winner. Sorry, Rod. We have a winner that we're happy with. Apartment Paladin. Paladin. What was that? I used to love the song from Paladin.
Golden Broadcasting. Welcome, Toby and Shelley.
Thank you. Apartment to house. Toby Star Gold. No, it was just a financial decision.
He's saving money by moving.
The house is $200 a month less than the apartment. And my plan to move to Costa Rica is gone. Shot up in flames. Somebody had something. Wait. Let me go back again. I thought I saw something.
Odorous Gnome.
There it is. I didn't want to miss that one. Odorous Gnome.
Belva Jenkins from Chattanooga.
Paladin was Have Gun Will Travel. That's where that comes from.
Indulgence. Steve from Oregon. Janet Landgard is here. Hey, Janet.
Hi, Janet. Thanks. Over from the Facebook group.
Steve Wayne. Something about new garments.
Something about buying. There's a scroll that mentions something about buying new garments. These aren't new. All my garments are old. I'm just
haven't worn them in so long.
They look new.
John Edo says, Toby # like a boss.
Rodney says, I've been wanting to throw out a name sooner, but damn work here kept getting in the way. But it's noble work. Rodney's in the service and an active special operator that now trains other special operators, which must be a great job.
Keeps him in shape for sure.
Yeah, I'll bet. Davio says to turn up my mic 25%, so I'm going to do that. I trust Davio's opinions on these matters.
You had turned it down because it was popping earlier.
Oh, okay. So
Jim Siri is here.
Paladin says he voted for T-shirt number 15 too.
Okay, Larry. Hello. And world famous gamer.
J Street says, how do you know I wear glasses?
AGK in the last video, I guess y'all didn't see it. I was saying that where warm water's halt is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the poem it starts to spell home. What you think?
I think it's a perfectly reasonable hypothesis.
Okay, I'm at the bottom. Oh,
okay,
Steve
Davio
Wayne,
says,
in case I didn't say his name, Steve Wayne.
Stick around even if others don't acknowledge you. Yeah, no. We try to acknowledge everyone. And like I said, it's helpful if you highlight with AGK Media. Okay, or send a text message. We'll get to those just a minute. Let me get to the mail from this week. And
Kevin sent a picture of himself. I don't know why, but
where?
He is. I don't know. He was at work and he sent me a picture of himself.
No, it's a video. He's talking to you.
No, he's not.
I just saw his mouth move.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a picture. You're so funny. His mouth moved. Look, his mouth moves.
Put it up to the camera so they can see Kevin in his. I try to buy that. He's got like this really fluorescent orange winter jacket that he
That's the
wears
best one.
out on the what do they call it? The ramp.
Tarmac.
Tarmac, and I'm always trying to, every time he comes to pick up Shelly, he's wearing it, I try to buy it from him. But it's got Southwest on it, so he can't. Okay, so this is from Bruce, no last names. He says, I'm new to this, but I had a thought about the quote, where the warm waters begin, unquote. That makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me, but I haven't seen discussed elsewhere. This is apparently the first clue, the beginning, and one of the most important clues. Most people are thinking that water halts at a dam, lake, etc. You're giving the search community not enough credit in that matter. There's hundreds of ideas about where it halts, but anyway, which have been ruled out. Instead of the end point, the water also halts at the headwaters, or the beginning, the source, in the case of a spring, and would give a definite location starting point if you can correctly identify which warm waters is being referred to. So begin at where warm waters halt. So I think he's presenting a possibility for the halt portion, meaning he's reversed it. So warm waters halt where apparently cool waters begin. You still have to resolve the reference to temperature. So I think you're halfway there, Bruce. You need to get there's a little bit additional resolution that has to be made. So who's that? Oh, I just got a notice. Rough start for the Dodgers. I don't know why I got that notice. This is from.
You must have watched one of their live streams.
I guess this is from Justin. Has I suppose that means Forrest, said the treasure is on public land, and if he buried it. So Fenn has never said exactly. The closest he's ever come to indicating what kind of land it's on is he said he buried it. He referred to it as land that belongs to the public, right? To the people, not the public, to the people. So it is very likely buried on public versus private land. But what you're going to find as you do additional research is there is a broad variety of definitions of public land. For example, Bureau of Land Management land is public, but defined differently from National Forest land, from National Wildlife Administration land, and from National Park Service land, and then different from tribal land and public land. So it's not as simple as public land. He has never said it's buried, but he's never said that it isn't buried, and that's how he answers the question. When somebody says, how long ago did you bury your treasure? His response has always been, and to some extent, I've always felt like the particular response he'd give was a bit of a misdirection, because if you were to say to him, in what year did you bury your treasure? His response would be, I didn't say I buried the treasure. So he gets around answering the other question by focusing on the buried part, and then he follows it up with, but I didn't say that I didn't bury it either. So he doesn't answer the primary question and then confuses you on the secondary question. That's a very Fenn thing to do. He's very good at that. So one of the fun things about Fenn is analyzing the way he answers questions. So this is from Venetti. I've had a couple of Italians in the last couple of weeks. Toby, sorry, I always seem to miss your live shows, or I would have commented then. When Fenn says there are other chests out there like his, but they are all a different size, what he is saying is the original, and his is the original, and here's why. Oh, this goes on for a bit. When you make a duplicate, you must first make a duplicate of the object in wax form. Whatever is in a plaster block must be melted out. In other words, you can't disassemble a plaster cast. That's right. You break it out. First, wax shrinks when it cools. So if one were to make a wax copy, it would be slightly smaller. Second, bronze has a slight amount of shrinkage as well. So in summary, if Fenn was the original chest, all the others would be smaller. Additionally, silicones needed to capture the exact detail. The silicones needed to capture the exact detail were not readily available until the 1970s. This would explain why the Detroit Museum box doesn't seem to look as clean as and is smaller. So, his commentary on that box. Okay, so this one is from Dave. He says it's titled New Searcher Question. As a new searcher, forgive me if this topic has been discussed. You know what's fun about just that opening is every topic has already been discussed. Because we've discussed it to no end.
Ad infinitum.
Ad infinitum, that's right. Forrest says the 9 clues are in the poem, and TTOC contains hints, the thrill of the chase. On page 131 of he keeps calling it TTOC, he means TTOTC. It says, it's in the mountains. Oh, I know where he's going with this. Oh, you're going to love my response to this, Dave. On page 131 of TTOTC, it says, quote, it's in the mountains somewhere north of Santa Fe, unquote, referring to the treasure, where the treasure is hidden. It does not say in the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe. I live in Utah, and if you tell me something is in the mountains east of Salt Lake City, I am not going to think about it being in the mountains of Colorado. So many people have analyzed every word in the book. How could this detail be so short-sighted? Was anything ever said about expanding the search area? What were the reactions? Utah searcher. Okay, so here's our input on that particular topic. You are correct. In the book, which was written in 2010, he said the treasure is in the mountains north of Santa Fe, somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. So, and when I heard that, when I read that the first time, and this was back in 2012, which preceded the Rocky Mountains thing. You can look for a video on our channel, and the title of the video is Forrest Fenn Discovered the Rocky Mountains in 2013. Because prior to 2013 and the publication of Too Far to Walk, there was no mention of the Rocky Mountains. And most of the people that had been searching in that period were searching in one of two places, New Mexico and Yellowstone, just assuming that's where it was. And then in 2013, the Rocky Mountains became an option. But like you in Utah, I used to ask my friends, I'd like to think they were friends, I used to ask them, if I kidnapped your kitty and I told you I hid it somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe, would you go looking for your kitty in Wyoming? And the answer was always no, of course not, because when somebody says it's somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe, you say, well, it's somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. If I had wanted to put it someplace else, I would have said somewhere in the mountains south of Colorado Springs. I would not have said somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. So we agree with you. We think it's that it's credible in terms of the theory that you shouldn't believe necessarily anything that Fenn said after December. There's another video. I'll bring it again. And I actually, one of the few times that I asked Fenn permission to do something, I asked him. We did a video called Forrest Fenn. What was it called? Forrest Fenn died in December of 2010. And the theory in the video is what would have happened if Forrest Fenn had passed away in December of 2010. Think about all the things. There would be no scrapbooks, no Too Far to Walk, no Once Upon a While, no interviews, no nothing. You would have the book and the poem and the somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. So we agree with you. We think that looking in the Rocky Mountains doesn't make sense to us, because he didn't find him until 2013. But the whole world is going to disagree with me anyway. So, okay, let's go and read some text messages. What we got? This is JT from Texas. Toby, in the past, you have not ruled out that the treasure being hidden before the 2009-2010 timeline. Has your opinion changed any on that? Good question. I think it's possible he hid the treasure chest with a letter IOU as a test run before hiding the actual treasure. Can you share your thoughts on the idea? Yeah. So we theorized, and we have a video on this someplace, that Fenn had hidden the treasure. If you go back to the Moby Dickens video, he starts telling a story, and what he says, and he repeats it. He says it twice. I hid the treasure 15 years after his treatment for cancer. Well, he had cancer in 1988. 15 years is 2003. So that led us to search. Then in Too Far to Walk, he told a story about getting in his airplane, flying north, stopping at an airport, and going looking, talking to one of the young men that was working behind the car rental counter, and convincing him to go looking for, going to look for arrowheads. So we did that measurement, and we looked at his aircraft. He could have flown. We know that he could have flown from Santa Fe to Cody, back to Lander, refueled, and back to Santa Fe. So that's how we ended up in Lander, because we started considering the possibility that he had done this in the 2002-2003 timeframe. He sold his aircraft at the end of 2003. He gave up his license because he didn't renew his medical in 2000, about the same time. So that's when he stopped flying. So all of that would have had to happen before that. And it would have had this effect. The chest would have been out there. You wouldn't have known there was a chest out there. And what could have happened, what he was trying to find out. Now, this is all a hypothesis. This is all theory. There's no evidence of this ever having occurring. One of the things that led us to that is, for the longest time, people would ask him about the treasure, and he would say, I tell people that I hid it when I was 79 or 80. Well, saying that you hid it when you were 79 or 80, if you asked me, when did you hide the treasure? And I said, I was either 79 or 80. But he didn't say that. He said, I tell people that I hid it when I was 79 or 80. That's the truth. That's what he would say. That doesn't mean necessarily that it was hidden when he was 79 or 80. Now, later on, as I started making, maybe I'm taking too much credit here, but as we started talking more about this, and it got more more popular in the conversation about the chest, he actually responded to something that Dale wrote him, and said, you know, well, how old were you? And he responded directly, I was 79 or 80. He didn't put that caveat that he tells people. Then Dale went through a lot of trouble to prove that people had seen the chest. And if you looked at the evidence or the proof that was provided, it was all iffy. There was I think I saw it on his table in such and such a time, et cetera, et cetera. So we pursued that for a while. And the other thing that supported the theory was that he put his hair, he claims to have put some of his hair inside the olive jar. Well, there are a lot of reasons. Let me see. Let me see if I want to say this correctly, so that it's at least reasonable. So, there are a lot of reasons to put your hair. No, there's only one reason to put your hair in the olive jar, and that is so that you can be identified as the person that hid that treasure. Well, if you had written a book in which you identified with photographs the treasure, and written the poem, you wouldn't have to put your hair in the olive jar. Everybody would know where the treasure came from, because you told us where the treasure came from, and when it was found, it would be based on the clues in the poem. So there is no need to prove that the treasure was yours. But he put his biography and he put his hair in that olive jar. The only reason you would do that was to be able to prove that you had hidden that treasure before you wrote the book. Because after you wrote the book, then the proof was already there. If you had hidden the treasure in the early 2000s, then you'd have your biography and your hair in the treasure, so that if it was necessary, you could claim that you hid the treasure and the evidence was in the treasure chest. So we thought it was possible. We still think it is possible, an option. But it would take a lot of work in order for anyone to prove that that was actually true. And then the conclusion you'll come to is, so what, right? What difference does it make? It doesn't make any difference whether he hid the treasure in 2009 or 2010 or some other time. The simple fact of the matter is the treasure is in the special place, and whether it has been there since 2003 or 2009 doesn't make any difference. It's still there. But the other thing about if it was in 2003, that is a substantiation of Fenn's claim that it will never be stumbled upon. It was out there long enough. I mean, think about it. If it was placed in 2003, that means it's been out there not 9 years, but 16 years, and never been stumbled upon. And then after 2010, you had people looking for it. So we have had that conversation and over again. And if you go through our videos, we've actually discussed that topic from different perspectives more than once, and created, it's a...
Are you done speaking? What was that?
That was Toby Renee going. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So
K-Pro says, and I think I know the answer to this. When is the last time you heard directly from Forrest, and would you share what he said? Wasn't it at the Jamie Jordan event when he thanked you for being there?
Let me make sure. If heard directly from Forrest, the last time I heard directly from Forrest was at the end of the Jamie Jordan raffle drawing at Collected Works in Santa Fe on September 6th, was it?
Something like that.
When he came up at the end just before I was about to sign off, and he thanked me for helping out with it. That was the last time I heard from him.
Yeah, in any way, shape, or form, including email or phone call.
Yeah, I haven't written him an email in, I probably had written, the last email I've written him was before the Jamie Jordan thing, and it was very specifically about that. He and I exchanged a couple of emails when that one YouTuber criticized me for the thousand year comment. I paraphrased something that Fenn had said. And I got a nasty gram from him for that. But that was over a year ago, longer than a year. But the last time I had any contact with him was at the event.
And we have Unknown Searcher says, I had a 2-hour interview today for a podcast explaining the poem. I explained that I have a unique way in solving the poem. In my opinion, the poem is all about art. What do you and Shelley think?
Well, in our opinion, we think the poem is about trout fishing.
All that frame of reference.
Yeah, you got to have context. And it could just and we don't have the treasure, so it could just be as much a context of art as it is a context of trout fishing. So it's as good. People criticize me when I say anything is possible in this treasure hunt. It may sound like I'm criticizing you or not supporting you. The simple fact of the matter is we don't have the treasure, so we don't know. If you're asking me, who doesn't have the treasure, whether or not you're right, I can't tell you. I don't have the treasure. I don't know. So that's my response is not one that what's the word I'm looking for? I don't mean to be dismissive. It is not meant to be dismissive. It is simply the simplest fact, right? Anything is possible. Cape Pro in the room. Friends don't let friends kidnap kitties. You know what? That's what Shelley used to say. They wouldn't let him kidnap. She wouldn't let me kidnap her kitty.
Yeah.
I used to tell this story. I'd be telling this story and I'd say, well, think of it this way. Suppose I kidnapped Shelley's dog and I took it and Shelley would make a pouty face. And I'd say, okay, well, so let's make it, I kidnapped Shelley.
You start off with my kids.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So I did end up with the kitty.
And that made a lot of comments happen in the room as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
Say kitties.
Well, you'll have to share the title and location of the podcast so that we can listen to it, Unknown Searcher. So send it to me. Send it to gypsyskiss@gmail.com, and I will share your podcast on our community page so other people can hear it. Yeah, see, so K-Pro makes a really good really good point. And the point is that the FBI raided his home in 2009 and apparently have pictures of the treasure chest. Now, we don't know that for. Do we know that for certain that there are pictures of the treasure chest, Kpro? Um, but what would be interesting is if in all that inventory of imagery collected by the FBI or whoever was there to do the investigation, there were no photographs of the treasure chest. That would tell us something, wouldn't it? So, Kpro, are you certain? So, the question for you, Kpro, because I know you've uh, submitted a Freedom of Information Act on that. Are you certain that the photographs of the treasure were collected as evidence by whatever investigative agency was doing the investigation? They want 20K for a FOIA, but the raid was in 2008. I don't know exactly when. It was 2008, 2009. I've always heard 2009, but I couldn't be certain. Let's see. Foxtrot Mike, AGK special place, a stand in a place or thousands of acres? Neither. It's someplace in between. The places that we've been to where we've searched that we'd call special place, it's special as you stand there. The best description is that time where he was talking about, if he was standing in a special place, he could smell pine, and he retracted some of it. But your sense is that the special place is a acre, a half acre, a larger than a single spot, and that somewhere within that special place there's a hiding spot. I think, to me, there is rationally a difference between a place that I would refer to as special, meaning that it's more in tune with all the senses than the little place, the little niche in a rock or whatever where he placed the chest. So I think special is bigger than the place where he put the chest, but it's certainly not thousands of acres. No more than, no more than you've got to be able to surround it. The forest, you're going to be surrounded by in our let me just use our last location. So our last location, you'll be standing in a place, you'll see the opening to Toltec Gorge. You'll be surrounded by pine trees. There's a beautiful river flowing below you with green grasses, and the space is what, 200 feet across, Michelle? The entire space is 200 feet across. But within that 200 feet, there are literally thousands of places you could find a treasure, or you could hide a treasure, rather. So we think the special place is bigger than a treasure chest, because that's what you need a spot to hide it in, right? We think the special place is bigger than the exact location in which he placed the treasure chest, but not thousands of acres. I don't feel like it's thousands of acres.
So Jungle Cruiser wants to know your perspective on this. Instead of the riddle answer about being a polar bear at the North Pole, what if the answer is polar bear at the top of the world? It's a novel way of looking at things. And I said that out loud because he put it in there twice, so I think he wants us to say something about it.
Perspective. Instead of the riddle answer about being a polar bear at the North Pole, that's that old riddle about you.
All the windows face.
No. You head 90 degrees south. It's somebody walking away from the North Pole, right? So you head 90 degrees south. You turn right 90 degrees. You head 1 mile, and then you turn right another 90 degrees. So you're basically a triangle rather than a square. And when you finish that, you see a bear. What the question is, what color is the bear? That's the riddle. The answer is white, because you're in the North Pole. The only way you could follow that path, that track, is at the North Pole. But that's not the riddle. The riddle is not the answer to the riddle is not the North Pole. The question that is asked at the end of that riddle is, what color is the bear? Not where are you located?
Right.
So it wouldn't make any difference if it was top of the world or the North Pole. That's not neither of those is the answer to the riddle. Because the riddle question is, what color is the bear? And the answer is white. So it wouldn't make any difference whether you used top of the world or the North Pole.
Okay. So Rox and I are in the I Hate Onions Club. So anybody else?
Wow.
Yay.
So I think you may be the only two people I know.
I
The
know
rest
other
of the
people.
room, how many
We're
people
forming a club.
yeah, how many
Everybody
of
else who
you,
hates
how
onions.
many of you in the room do not like onions? That's what I wanted, because I like onions. I just can't have them around Shelley. And I have to remember whenever we go out to a restaurant, if she orders a salad, when I order it, I always have to remember to say, and
Now
no.
they're going to think, why do you have to order for her? Can't she talk?
No, she can talk, but I've always thought it was the responsibility of the gentleman in the restaurant to make the order for the lady, whether or not he's responsible for that lady. So that's why I order. I do that for my daughters as well. So.
But
Okay.
you didn't on your birthday.
No, I let my daughters treat me. What the heck is going on here? My Explorer just keeps popping out the window at me. Okay, so did I ever get this part? Timeline, has your opinion changed? Back to the 2003 thing. Jared from Texas, JT from Texas. I have always held that it was possible that it was hidden in 2003. The only thing that could counter that is evidence of the existence of the treasure after 2003. So maybe one of the things that will happen if Christie's Freedom of Information Act comes to fruition, and there are photographs of the treasure in there, then we will know the answer to that question. Hang on just a second. My screen keeps covering me. So Christy, your FOIA now has even greater importance than it did before, because your FOIA is going to tell us whether or not the treasure was in his possession at the time the federal officers, and I still don't know exactly who was involved. I think the BLM was there. I don't know if the BLM has its own policing branch, so I don't know if the FBI was actually there. And it would all go to the Department of Justice anyway. So
we have a new name here, Butterfly Baby, and she wants to know, do you really feel that Forrest put a treasure out there? What percentage would you say that you are for sure?
I would say it's exactly the same percentage as whether God exists or not. And the reason is, in both cases, you have to have faith, right? If you have to, and I've had this conversation more than once, and so please forgive me if you guys have heard that. In order to find this treasure, in order to invest the time looking for this treasure, you have to believe that Fenn aggregated this treasure. Fenn hid the treasure in his special place, and then wrote a poem that describes in a metaphorical way how to find that treasure. So that's the faith part. If you're not 100% confident, it's like believing in God, right? If you're not 100% confident that he did that, don't waste your time, because that's what you would be doing. So it's not a matter of whether he did or not. It's a matter of whether you have the faith that he did. There are people that to this day, and I can name them, I won't, that believe that it was that this is all a big hoax. They have no faith in it. And I'm not suggesting having the faith that the treasure exists is an alternative to your spiritual beliefs. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just using it as a method of comparison. So there is no probability. It either has to be 100% or not 100%. If it's anything less than 100%, don't take the time. Shelley and I, when we decided to stop searching, we made our decision based on a completely different set of criteria than whether or not the treasure exists. I think I can speak for Shelley when I say we believe that he aggregated a treasure, we believe that he hid that treasure in his special place, and we believe that he wrote a poem to the best of his ability that was a metaphor for directions on how to find that treasure. We believe that to be true. We have no evidence to counter that. We have heard people's opinions on the matter, but there is more evidence to support that than there is evidence to support the alternative. So we don't believe it's a hoax. We have 100% belief that the treasure is out there. We also have 100% belief that there are other things that we want to do with our lives. So besides look for a treasure. So I hope that was. So I'm going to open up. Oh no.
Oh, and Rodney's got to go. He's got to get up super early in the morning to go.
Well, of course he's training.
So.
He's training special operators.
Thanks for being here, Rodney.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Ron.
Stay safe out there.
Okay, so let me get some more questions. In Jimmy T from San Diego, could a redneck then just read the book and the poem and determine that the state is New Mexico and its warm waters? Well, if I could do it, so could a redneck. I mean, I don't think you have to be a redneck to make the interpretation. I think anybody could make that interpretation and come to that conclusion, whether or not you were a redneck. Let's see. James from Texas again. Do you think Fenn backing away is due to searchers getting too close, not wanting to provide accidental clues? No, I don't think there is. I think the searcher that is close is the searcher that's going to recover the treasure, because that means you would have deciphered all 9 clues to be close. I think if you're that searcher, then you're recovered, and I don't think that's out there. I don't think there's any indication that person is out there. I think Fenn is backing away because he's 89, because he's a cancer survivor, and because I think he feels like he's done everything he can to make this successful, and I think we've worn him down. Honestly, I think we as a community, and I don't mean this in a negative way, we're not mean to him, but I think we've just worn him down. We want answers to our questions. And I think there's one more thing. I think his family is probably pressuring him to step back for all of the exact same reasons, and I think there's a point at which you have to give your family's feelings greater credence. Certainly, if my daughters had asked me to stop doing something, I would have a hard time not doing what they asked me to do. Stop being on YouTube, Dad. So, but they won't. They know that I love what I do. Okay.
I like Steve Wayne's comment here. I can take photos of everything I own. None of those photos proves I hide it all in the woods.
That's true. That's where the faith comes in. It's not a matter of evidence. There is no evidence. There is no more evidence that the treasure.
Steve, you got to write a poem about this, about your stuff.
There is no more evidence that the treasure exists than there is evidence that the treasure doesn't exist. That's the problem with this problem. Is there is no evidence one side or the other. There is belief one side or the other. Some people believe the treasure exists. Other people believe that the treasure doesn't exist. But no one has evidence to prove either case, except probably Forrest Fenn. And maybe if Christy gets her FOIA responded to, maybe Christy will have some evidence. That's going to be a nice show.
Searcher wants to know, do you think anyone may be getting closer?
No.
Or getting close?
No, I think that whole close myth is, that whole close thing is a myth constructed and perpetuated by the search community. This is from 262. This is from Ralph. You have good taste, Toby. Did Shelley vote? Enjoy your show. As always, you two are a class act. I wonder, they must be talking about my tie, you think?
The class act?
No, you have good taste, Toby. Did Shelley vote?
On the T-shirt.
I'm sorry. I thought it was on my tie. Well, there goes good. So just self-centered mead.
Matt Bear says, which origin story is true? Forrest got the idea in 1988 when he got cancer, or Forrest got the idea in 1996 after talking to Ralph Lauren to take it with him. Well, he talked to Ralph Lauren in '88,
Yeah,
from what I understand.
yeah. That Ralph Lauren event happened before '96.
Mm-hmm.
It happened because he
And
was at the point when you think you're going to die, you talk a lot about death.
according to the book Thrill of the Chase, he said that he got the idea for hiding the treasure, putting together a treasure and hiding it when he found out he had cancer in 1988. Am I correct in that?
Yes, that is correct. And it was soon after that or soon before that, that he had the conversation with Ralph Lauren. That's how it was all promulgated. It was based on that. So I don't have any idea how to turn off what's happening right now. So there it goes again. So the Windows 10 window just keeps sliding over my OBS. Is there a reason for that? What have I done to deserve that? It's never done that before. I'm going to questions.
You're looking at your settings, I guess.
Well, 262, thank you for saying that I have good taste. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Toby and Shelley, Paul Ammons, just for the two of you only, please.
Oh, never mind.
Okay. All right. So we can't share that. He's asked not to share that. Toby, can I talk to you after the show is over? You said you're open to search again only if there's solid evidence awarded to you, talking about 9 clues. Send me, if I say that I'm open to search again, I am very likely not, it would have to take, well, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for somebody to give me 9 clues for me to go search again. I'm not going to search again. I'm not. The only way I would go to search again is if I had constructed a solution, a theory that was better than the theories or solutions I've constructed in the past. That's the only reason I would go. I would not go out searching. I would not go search again based on anyone else's theory, because I'm just not there anymore.
Lisa Smith says, it's not a question, but it's a good comment. I can't see Forrest wanting his legacy to have a bad backlash on his family. And just that, in my opinion, is reason enough that he did, in fact, hide his treasure chest.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Forrest is a man who wants a legacy, a positive legacy, to last a long time. Right? I'm not going to quote him at 100 years or 1,000 years. I'm just going to say a long time. Well, you want a positive legacy, not a negative one. Everything eventually comes out, right? So if sometime in the future we discover that Forrest Fenn hadn't hidden a treasure, that's the legacy that would have remained. That's not something that strikes me that a gentleman like Forrest Fenn would want. He doesn't want a negative legacy. He wants a positive legacy. I gotta stop this. Hang on. Just give me a second here. Settings. Stop this. Windows settings. Ugh. Okay. Okay, John from upstate New York. That's, you know who that is? That's John Warner. That's where he's from. John from upstate New York. Any thoughts on Fenn's new sketch? The funny mark on the A looks like a gas rig. I haven't seen the sketch. So, John, send me something to the Gmail address, and I can address it. I haven't actually seen the new sketch that you're referring to. From KL in area code 319. Do you think Forrest Fenn is looking for the right person to find that? No. Again, that's a no answer. Do you think Forrest Fenn is looking for the right person to find the treasure? I think he had high hopes that some noble person would find the treasure, and then people like me started looking for it. So those high hopes shot right down the thing. I don't think he cares. I think the finder is the finder. Like maybe clues are meant for a certain type of individual with an odd way of thinking. Thank you for all the time and information. Well, certainly the individual that finds the treasure is apparently going to have to think like Forrest Fenn. And I think Shelley will probably back me up on this. What I discovered is I don't think like Forrest Fenn. I don't think anything like Forrest Fenn. because the clues don't make any sense to me. So I remember I had a really good friend when I was in the agency, and he was not only a great he was a great cryptographer. I was an analyst. There are two different responsibilities in the agency. He was one of the best I knew, and he was especially good at crosswords. He was amazing at crossword puzzles. He could just knock them out. But if you asked him to calculate the tip at dinner, he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. And or if you started a conversation, if you started, we didn't do analysis with him in the room because he was a terrible analyst. He was a terrible intelligence analyst. He was a great cryptographer. He could break down any code, any VC, Vietnamese Communist or North Vietnamese army member could create. Not that they did, but he was that good. But if you started talking to him about and analyzing the results of that decryption, he cluttered everything up, and so we'd throw him out of the room. My point being, he had a completely different way of thinking. What I discovered last summer is that my way of thinking is not better or worse than Forrest Fenn's way of thinking. It's completely different. And I had no understanding of where he says, when he says, put in below the home of Brown, what my response to that is, I had my ideas on all of those things, but they weren't his. And so I wasn't getting any closer to the treasure. So I don't think, I think in the context of your question, I don't think that was his intent. I don't think he intends that the person that finds it is going to be like him, although I imagine we all have kind of that pride in our work that it would be great, you know. It's funny because in our family there's kind of a line of artists, and when I see what Sean does, I'm always proud. It's so different from the way I would do things. And then she looks at me and she said, "How do you know?" There are conversations that I've had with my own daughter where I would say, "How did you come up with that?" Because I thought it was so amazing, and I knew I didn't have the talent. I don't have the hand-eye coordination. I don't have that hand talent that she has. Mine is an oral talent. That didn't come out exactly the way I meant it. She's very good with the hand-eye coordination. I'm a very good speaker, right? And at the same time, she'll see something that I do, and she'll say, "How did you come up with that presentation?" And it's that different way of thinking. I see things that Fenn does, and I think to myself, how did he imagine that? How did he get to that point, right? And I feel like I could never get to that point, and that's the struggle. But I do not believe that his intent was that somebody like him, exactly like him, because the possibility of that happening is slim to none. The DNA prevents all of that. I think he hopes that someone, I think the only hope I would imagine him to have, that the finder was a person, a noble person, a person of generosity and thoughtfulness, that, you know, a positive person. That's as far as I think he went. I don't think he set it up necessarily for any particular individual or any particular class of individuals. And when he says there are 350,000 people looking for the search, if you've met as many of them as I have, you know that no two searchers are exactly alike. All you have to do is watch K-Pro and Calazars on their channel, and you'll know those two people, for as much as they have in common, are very different from one another. You can watch Shelley and I. For as much as we have in common, we're very different from one another. So the likelihood that that Fenn would have thought enough in advance to have come to the conclusion that someone like him, or someone that he wanted to find the treasure, would find the treasure, I just don't think that to be the case. I think he put it out there so that anyone, including a redneck with 12 kids in a pickup truck, could find it. Okay.
Steve Gahagan is here, and he said he just got back from going out to supper for his 2-year-old son's birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Bridger. Nice.
Happy birthday, Richard.
Well Bridger. Bridger, like Janet Bridger.
Oh, or like Jim Bridger.
Yeah.
Bridger. Well, congratulations on being born into the Gahagan family, Bridget.
And happy birthday.
Yeah, and happy birthday. So this is from 262 again. Who do you think will play Forrest Fenn in the movie that will be made? Oh, Shelley's better at this than I am. What do you think?
Oh,
After chest is found, think Tom Hanks could pull it off. I'm not sure who will play me, Randy from the west of the mid something. Who could play Forrest Fenn? I would want to see somebody like what's his name? Sam, the guy we were talking about the other night.
Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott. Yeah, that's who I'd get to play Forrest Fenn. And I think Forrest would be, it's not quite Forrest Fenn, but if you're going to have somebody, he's got to be a rough-hewn kind of guy with lots of experience. Sam Elliott could make a good Forrest Fenn. A much better Forrest Fenn than Tom Hanks, I think. Sam Elliott. Okay, James from Texas. Do you think Fenn backing away? Oh, we already answered that. James from Texas. Second question. Has Fenn listed potential special places in New Mexico? If so, where? Yes, he sent me a list. Oh, probably. No, he hasn't listed special places in New Mexico. The closest he ever comes to mentioning New Mexico is in Too Far to Walk. There's a chapter in there that describes fishing with one of his granddaughters, who he thought was an excellent fisherman for her age. And I think it's on the Pecos, and the reason is the old family, the family that Shiloh's father and I can't remember which of the daughters he's married to, but they have property up in Pecos through which the Pecos River runs. So it's probably on that property that they were fishing on the Pecos.
Did you say Shiloh's daughter?
No. I meant Fenn's daughter married to Mr. Old, and that's why Shiloh's last name is Old, right? The old family, the old name family has property along the Pecos. That's why all those trees. Remember when they had that forest fire up there, and it burned a lot of the trees on their property, and they milled it down and sold it at as good wood inside. So yeah, I've never heard him talk about particularly special places in New Mexico any more than any other place. I've heard him talk more about Yellowstone than I have about New Mexico.
You wanted to write a book about Taos.
Taos. That was good. No, that was not a criticism. That was a good Taos.
Tony F says, "Can you share where you have looked for the treasure and for how long?"
Oh, geez. Let's see. Before Fenn said it was on the Rio Grande, I spent some time up in Pilar, along the Rio Grande near Pilar, Cimarron Canyon. The Chama River below El Vado Dam, Browns Canyon in Colorado, the Poposia, the Middle Poposia in near Lander, Wyoming, the Santa Fe National Forest above Jacks Creek. And the Rio de los Pinos along the Colorado-New Mexico border. Can you think of any others that we've been to?
Did you say Browns Canyon?
Browns Canyon in Colorado.
Sings Canyon?
Yep, Sings Canyon. I said the Poposia, but yeah, Sings Canyon in Wyoming.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I haven't done, and it varied. The Sings Canyon and Browns Canyon were one trip each, but they were multi-day trips. We made 5 or 6 trips to the Rio de los Pinos this last summer. Cimarron probably 4 or 5 times. Pilar probably 4 or 5 times. The Rio Chama twice. So, yeah, it's been a lot. It's 32 total. What was at the end of last summer? I had 32 recons, none of which resulted in the finding of the treasure. Okay, Smart Line is now open. You can call if you want to talk on the air at 866-597-9901, a number I have not yet memorized for some reason. I'm not sure why. Michelle Pfeiffer is Shelley.
Okay. So Jen Kerb says, who do you think has the best chance of finding it? She says Kathy, but I think she might mean Cynthia. Kathy, Dale, Rodney, Jason N, K-Pro, Michael Hool, or somebody else in this chat.
I think there is as much chance that any one of them find it. I think, as you is my point, right? Anybody who looks for the treasure has the potential to find it. Got an inbound call.
Why is that always so loud?
I don't know. Let's see who it is. Welcome to Friday Night Fenndango. Who's calling and where are you calling from, and what's your question?
Hi, this is J.A. Street. I'm calling from Ohio. How are you doing tonight, Toby and Shelley?
Good, J.A. Very good. Thank you for calling. Well, what you got?
My question is this. The first thing I came across 3 years ago, the first time I came across that poem, is such a legendary piece, and yet it has no title. And then the last line of the poem, which is any conversation, the last thing you remember is the last thing said.
Right, I agree.
There's no title.
Title to the gold.
Why on earth would this man write this epic, legendary legacy and not give it a title?
Well, maybe you just answered the question. Maybe the fact that the poem in and of itself is will maintain the status of a legendary legacy. It doesn't require a title. The poem in and of itself is of the greatest value. I mean, think about it. What would you call it if you gave it a name? So everybody in the room, if you gave Fenn's poem,
what would I call it?
A name, yeah. What would you call what would be the title?
My treasure chest. My treasure chest.
My treasure chest.
It's a very special spot that will last forever.
Well, no.
Seasons, no elements can change it, Toby. If it's kept in a house.
I understand what you're saying, but you're doing exactly what would happen if any title would give it. You would infuse the title with meaning. Right? Yeah, and you just did it.
Let's look at it this way.
You just did it. You just gave it a title, and then you explained.
Correct.
You gave me 4 sentences worth of explanation and value to the title.
But at the same time, Toby, I took possession of it by sending the title. It's mine now.
The poem, you mean?
Correct. The treasure chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the treasure chest is his memory. Beginning with warm water, birth. It's metaphorical. Don't get me wrong. The treasure chest does exist. It's real.
Yeah.
But the one we're all it's everything.
So the point that you're trying to make is that the greater value would have been, rather than the poem, in the title of the poem.
The chase of finding the title, and then think about what he says. He says, when the person first sees it and opens it for the first time, they're just going to sit back and laugh.
The treasure.
When I'm reading, I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, think of all the things. Its destination. Your destination is small, but its location is huge. Yeah, it's a map. It's a poem. It's a map. That's huge. But your destination is small. It's that title. That's all I've been saying the whole time. I looked at it like, holy cow, and they're going to just sit back and laugh and hit themselves in the head. Well, why did I think of that? Yeah, it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a title. That's major.
Oh, and that's what I'm asking. What? No, and I agree, but you're calling in, and you've made the statement that it doesn't have a title, and it's major. My question is, what makes you believe that not having a title is, quote, major, unquote?
The last line of the poem, I give you title to the gold. Let's look at that. Cold in the wood. If you take it literally, to read it just like it's cold, it's a cold person to reach in someone's grave and steal what they have, right? He's taking it with him. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cold that give me that box, you old man. You can't take it. I wouldn't. Think about it.
So you have a bunch of people in the room listening to you right now, and you want to it is your responsibility, you believe, perhaps not your responsibility, but your desire to convince them that this poem, Fenn's poem, needs a title, is missing a title. Is that correct?
I'm not convinced them, but let's talk about it. I've been at this for 3 years. I've never heard anybody mention, there's no title to this epic.
No. I have to.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's try to disprove it. That's all I'm saying.
disprove what? That it needs a title?
That the title expand my treasure chest. Let's look at that just for a second. He's a trickster.
Yeah.
Fate. I mean, you play whether you want to or not. Let's look at this. He tests you right from the get-go. Hey, if you want to take up my dare, and then he turns around and hides his treasure chest in a poem named "My Treasure Chest." That's kind of, that's humorous.
Well, no, but that's.
Let's talk. All I'm saying, Toby, is let's talk about this.
You're assigning.
If anybody's interested.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. Let's put it out in the room and establish what the debate is that you want to have. Is it that the treasure that the poem needs a name or not, or that the poem that so I guess what's confusing me is, have you assigned a title, a name?
My treasure chest.
Oh, okay.
My treasure chest.
All right. So
my treasure chest is the name of it.
So the question.
And all I'm saying, Toby, is let's throw it into the room, or anybody who wants interested in commenting, come up with something he said at ATF that contradicts that being the fact.
Well, no. The fact.
Let's look at the big picture.
That is not a. So let's qualify that first.
Well, it's okay. Let me rephrase
it's not
that.
A fact.
It's a fact to me. I'm sorry. It's a fact
that's
to
right.
me.
So the fact is the fact is that the poem has no name. You're proposing an alternative to no name. That's right. That's what you're proposing.
Correct.
But it is not a fact. It is
my treasure chest.
A theory. Okay. So let's put that out in the room.
Right. Theory. That's even better.
Right.
Let's go theory. My
right.
theory that the name is my.
Jay,
and that's the solve.
Jay thinks that the poem A should have a title, and B, that the title should be what?
My treasure chest.
My treasure chest. All right. So what I'd like everybody in the room to do, and we'll type that in, right? Somebody type in title, My Treasure Chest, right? So now what I want to know is what do you guys? So I guess there's two things that I want to know. Number one, do you think that the poem needs a title? Yes or no? And if it needed a title, what would you in the room call it, and why is that different from what Jay has called it? Right? Is that fair?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That sounds great.
Well, let's see what the room has to say.
And the numbers are?
Well, no, it'll start rolling forward here any minute.
Roll, please.
Yeah. Now, at the same time.
Oh, it's going.
Yeah. At the same time, we'll see if anybody has an interest in debating the point, because you're right. I don't hear a lot of debate on this. I mean,
never.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything, Toby.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So the question is,
and it stood out obvious. And even Forrest said, "Well, what's a blaze mean to you?" Well, something that stands out. Well, you write this. Look at this. This is life-changing, Toby. Whoever finds this, it's life-changing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it has no title? Oh, my goodness.
Well, maybe there's a reason it has no title. Maybe Fenn had a reason.
And let's look.
Because you and I,
one step further
if
down
you
the
and
line.
I wrote
what
a poem.
Can Uncle say?
Go ahead.
Well, look at Uncle Sam. What can Big Brother take? It's a piece of paper. It's a poem.
Yeah. No. So what
right.
what we're concluding.
He thought of everything.
What we're concluding is, if you and I wrote a poem, we would give it a title.
Well, can you think of any other poem that has no title, especially one that is a treasure, is a map?
I can't.
And it has no name.
But I couldn't
can
do
you
that
think
off.
of any poem?
No,
Every poem has a title.
But I couldn't do
poem.
that off the top of my head anyway. But my point is,
to answer your question, yes, I would title it, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless I was trying to hide my treasure chest.
So
if I was trying to hide my treasure chest in front of everybody.
So then, why didn't Fenn title the poem?
Exactly. And, they're just going to hit themselves in the head. Why didn't I think of that? It's in all of our laps. That's the beauty of the thrill of the chase. But nobody lost anything. They all gained a love. Anybody that went boots on the ground gave it. Even if they were into nature, they love it more. If they weren't, they love it now. How can you not love solitude, nature? It's you and Earth. You're alive. So no one's out.
No. No. All right. Well, let's give it back to the room. Let them talk about it. You brought it up. Let's see what they have to say.
Okay, great.
And your responsibility now is
I'll
to
kick
keep
it back, and I'll, I'm going back in the chat room.
Yeah, go back in the.
I'll see you in the chat room.
Go back in the
Toby.
chat room and keep this conversation going. Let's see what you can do.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate it.
My
you guys
pleasure.
Have a good night.
You have a good evening.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oops. I didn't hang up. Hold on.
See, John Warner and I were sitting here thinking the same thing. Been to the desert on a horse with no name. Good to get out of the rain in the desert.
Okay. I got an inbound call here. You and John. Hang on. All right. You've reached the hotline. Who's calling? Where are you calling from? And what's your question? Hola. You're on. You're on the air. The question is for you. No? Okay. So, somebody shy.
Press dos for Spanish.
Hang on a sec. Hang on. Why is it... Okay. All right. So Smart Line is open. See if you can have that conversation with J.A. Is it J.A. or J.S.? J.A. And
Street.
My question, so he has an idea for the title of the poem, and he brought it all together because the title is in the last line of the poem, not the last sentence. Well, the last sentence as well, but my theory is that Fenn wasn't a poet to begin with. He was a treasure hider. So he may never have considered that the poem needed a title. He was simply writing. It would be so if I were to tell Shelley how to come to my house and I texted her a message giving her directions, would that set of directions need a title? No. But that's what Fenn has done, hasn't he? He's given us directions. So maybe it doesn't need a title. The fact that it's a poem is just a form of using his creative skill. So there we go. Got a phone call coming in here. All right, you've reached the hotline. This is Toby Eunice with GK Media. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And what's your question?
Hey there, Toby. Hey there, Shelley. This is Kate calling
Hi,
from
Kate.
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. I love Chicago.
Hi,
First time caller?
Me too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so what are you thinking about?
I found lots of things. First of all, I received a copy of Thrill the Chase today.
Congratulations.
Woohoo me.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Early birthday present. So I just wanted to say that I came across this, I'm late to the party, the end of last year, and I saw, of course, first thing you do, you research it, and you say, this isn't true, and it's true. How do I not know about this? Mm-hmm. And I've been talking to friends. No one has heard about this out here. And I'm like, awesome. And, well, anyway, I'm like, okay, let me go online, and I found you and Shelley, and I saw a panel discussion. It was the end of last year, and then New Year's, and put everything on hold, and I got back, and I'm watching it. And before I forget, did Shelley get her light fixed above her head?
Why don't you go ahead and explain what you did?
Well, Kevin checked the fixture and the bulb, and he said the bulb was out, so we just put in different bulbs.
I got a little concerned. I hope her light is working. I was watching the
she can't hear me on the phone.
Show the other night, and want to make sure she's all good.
She was trying to explain that her husband, Kevin, checked out both the fixture and the bulb, and it was the bulb. He tested both and tested the bulb in several different sockets, and it turned out to be the bulb. So they replaced it with another. Now, Kevin is also an amateur photographer, so he had photo floods. The blue light bulbs that you see photographers, not the CFLs. But that's what she's using. She's using a pair of those. We just match them on each side. If you've ever seen us talk about how we set up our studio, there's just basically one light over there and one light over there, and it's a very flat lighting. It can be any kind of light. I happen to like the CFLs because they're long-lived. They have an 8,000 hours between mean time between failure, and apparently, and that was a set of bulbs that I had given her to use at her place in her studio, and so we probably just wore that one out. I guess that's the only thing I can think of. I've never had a failure.
Well, I'm
like
glad
that.
she's safe.
Yeah, she is.
Glad she's safe.
Yeah.
Well, so I found you and Shelley, and because you think, okay, the people that are searching, they're crazy. What are they doing, right? And well, I found you and Shelley, and I'm like, wow, they seem pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
They seem like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so hearing the two of you speak so passionately about this, and, like I said, I'm late to the party, never been boots on the ground, it's like, okay, I get what they're talking about. So I just want to say thank you for, I'm looking at this with brand new eyes, and I'm like, I can't wait for the thaw and all that to be safe to go out there. So thank you for, giving us something forward to look, something to look forward to, and that this is all brand new, and we're going to have fun with this, and it's just, something to be excited about. Like Forrest said, get off your couch, go look for stuff and have fun. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to say thanks. That's all. And of course, I know where the treasure is, but so does everybody else.
Right, yeah,
so I think I have a
so,
have a pretty good chance.
One of the advantages of coming into the chase this late is that it isn't found. So you're kind of at the same place that everybody else is, because you have to realize that a greater majority of searchers have never left their desktops. They haven't been boots on the ground. They are excited by the thought and by imagining that they're coming to solutions just by staying at their desk. And there's a lot of that happens. But the books are fun to read. It's fun to imagine that there is a treasure out there. And although we believe that boots on the ground are necessary to even get close, there's nothing that prevents you, as most have. I can confidently assume that most of the treasures, most of the 350,000 people that Fenn cites as looking for the treasure have never been boots on the ground. So you're safe in that respect. Once you put boots on the ground, that is a distinct advantage. And then the more time you spend out in the field, the more refined your theory is going to become, because you're going to learn things. The world that you see on Google Earth is completely different from the world that you'll see, the same location that you'll see when you're boots on the ground. But that's a learning experience. Then you can go back, refine your theory, and there's nothing wrong with being excited. We know of people who have partners who are not as excited about the search as they are, and sometimes that's a struggle for them. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has a partner. What Shelley always recommends is make sure you're giving them a fair amount of time. You don't want them mad at you because you're spending all that time with the search, and but as long as you balance out with the things that are important to them, it works out. And they don't have to be. Some of the ways that they get around it is they say, well, let's go to wherever. And I'm going to use Yellowstone as an example, and let them experience Yellowstone as vacationers, and you experience it as a treasure hunter. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can do that on your own without much fear of being harmed. You shouldn't be going in places where an 80-year-old man couldn't go, and that makes it relatively safe. So we look forward to hearing about your first adventures.
Well, thankfully, my husband fell in love with Chaco Canyon several years ago, wanting me to go, and I'm like, now I'm a little bit more open to checking out New Mexico and seeing the, absolute beauty of it. So thank you very much for that. And
there are
I'm
some
just
wonderful
gonna say,
locations to explore in New Mexico, and Chaco Canyon is one of the more sentient. It's all about the feeling that you experience. You can actually feel the experience of Chaco Canyon of the Chaco culture when you're there. It is a very different feeling, and it's a recognition that there were people doing things that we could never ourselves have imagined doing. We could never imagine ourselves having done in that period of history. So if you do go to Chaco Canyon, you're going to have a wonderful time. I strongly recommend it as a place
I'd love
to
hit the whole 4 states and just see the beauty of it all. And so thank you very much. I'll let you get back to other callers in the chat room, and I'm not on Ambien, but I'm just very excited about this whole new adventure.
Well, good.
And have a great night and a great move.
Well, if you ever come within a stone's throw or two of Albuquerque, let us know, and we can get together to visit with a cup of coffee or dinner or something.
Sounds great. Have a great night, everybody.
Take
care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're at 8:30. That was nice. That was Kate's. We're at 8:30, and the line is open again. I've got a couple of texts. We got somebody calling in already. Hold on. I've got to get over to the Bluetooth here. Hey there. You've reached the hotline. Who is this? Where are you calling from? And what's your question?
Hi, this is Sean from Hubbardston, Michigan.
Where in Michigan, Sean?
Hubbardston.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
So it's the center of the universe, actually. It's where all things begin.
All things begin, and
yeah. So if I could just find out where warm waters halt, that would help me with this chase. But I came through Santa Fe a couple years ago, and I'm pretty sad with my family that we didn't know about the chase at that time.
Yeah.
And I've since in the last 6 months or so, I've went back and watched a lot of your shows and watched a lot of the other chasers' YouTube channels, and I've been trying to. But I really think that there's so much. It's so hard to follow the clues of the poem and in order and everything, that especially when you get boots on the ground, you have to have a very specific plan when you get boots on the ground, obviously. And I have not, had that chance yet. But, I've got my thoughts, and I've seen other people, some of the boots on the ground stuff, but I always think about, where would I want to die? And where would, what makes it so special that Forrest would want to go back? Is it just the center of the woods? Is it, it's treasures of, new and old. And so, that being said, I have thoughts too of what people think. I guess my question is,
okay,
what people think about it's going to have to be a certain time that the blaze is actually there. If you look at Newgrange in Ireland, the winter solstice.
Right, the solstice. It's both for right.
So did Forrest find this place, and all of a sudden he was there on his dad's birthday, and something lit up, and then he realized that would light up every year on this day of my dad's birthday,
right,
or a special date. And when you're there, you know that is, you're there. That's
right.
the blaze. When you see, the lights shine down through the canyon and light up, and shine. So, I personally think that a lot, like you said, a lot of people do a lot of research on the computer or on maps and everything, and when you figure it out, you'll be able to walk right straight to it.
Yeah.
With everything you know about how Forrest is. So I'm just, like he said, he had a gut feeling it'd be found this summer, and I just felt like that it's a window of time every year that we're going to have a chance to find that blaze.
So may I share my thoughts on that matter with you?
Yeah, sure.
So we actually explored that area. We don't think necessarily that it has to be the summer solstice. It could be any time of the year where the sun was in a particular position in combination with things that are on the surface of the earth that created that particular blaze for him in a location that had meaning to him. We think your theory, as you describe it, is one that we have explored, and we think it's a credible possibility. So my only recommendation to you is if you could figure out exactly, so there has to be something in the poem, a clue in the poem that would help you understand how, if that were the blaze, which is what you are theorizing and which we have theorized in the past, you have to figure out what in the poem tells you what time, when and where you have to be in order to see that blaze. Because I think there's a high probability that your theory is a good one, and we have spent a lot of time looking at that.
Yes, and I feel that, like myself, I don't know if I'm actually, and I've tried to share this. I'm surprised with how many people haven't heard of the chase. And how many people...
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it from the perspective that Fenn mentions, right? So he says that he believes there's 350,000 people that are aware of the chase and maybe even looking. I think that number is high. I don't think it's necessarily exaggerated, but I think it's high. Well, if you take that as a percentage of the population, it's 1/10 of 1% of the entire population. So that means there's 99...
There's a lot of naysayers out there that don't think he hit it, and as soon as they see it, they discredit it.
Yeah.
You're one of your last callers here. I think they were trying to say the real treasure is the poem.
Yeah.
And that, and so that's why they said there's not a name. And
I think
my chest is...
I think if you were to take a poll of any 10 people and ask them what they thought the treasure is, I think you would hear 10 different answers, one or two of which would be the actual treasure. But I think that's how I think that's how Fenn's book and all the conversation about it affects people. I remember one of the big stories of the early part of well, not early, but probably in the 2013, 2014 timeframe. One of the big stories here in New Mexico was a woman. It was, let me see if I can remember her name. Pam, I can't remember her name, but she interpreted the poem, and she ended up in Colorado near the statue of that the lady of the woman, the nun who was the founder of the Carmel sect, and she got the poem she interpreted the poem in a way that got her there, and her treasure was this spiritual response to her looking for it, and that was her treasure. And she was passionate enough about how she felt about this that it made the news, And eventually Forrest had to say, well, that's not it exactly, but he did it in a very genteel way so that it didn't, he didn't want to, you don't want to look at somebody that has a spiritual awakening as a result of reading your poem and you say to her, well, nope, that's totally wrong. That's not the way that you want to do that. And I think that's what happens. Some people find the spiritual awakening of being out in the forest, out in amongst the trees and nature, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and Fenn, though, he reminds me of so many older men that I know of that generation. I believe that he truly hid the poem or hid the treasure, and that. But at the same time, I always think that I solved the Rubik's Cube one time, but I kept trying to learn more and more about it. And the epiphany I had was I already had enough answers. I didn't have to overthink it. Quit it. Just use what you have and just try to figure it out. And I think that the people, when he said, you're overthinking it, you can simplify it. Some people are oversimplifying it. There's people out there that they make it harder than they should, and there's some people that are not realizing it is going to take a very special insight of Forrest.
It is. It's going to. My theory is the theory about it is it's going to take a person who can think a lot like Forrest in order to resolve the clues. And as a matter of fact, I don't remember how accurate. I may be making part of this up, but I remember a conversation about the 200-foot searcher in which Forrest was surprised that person knew Forrest so well. I think that was the comment. Maybe Kpro can tell us about that. But that was one of the things. That was one of the things that I said to myself. You know what? It's going to take that. And what I know about myself, for as much as I can relate to Forrest, we are completely different thinkers. He's a right side, I'm a left side. We have different interests, and that's going to be the challenge. I think the person that ultimately finds this this treasure, whenever it is found, will surprise us with how much he seems like Forrest to us. And that's a really interesting legacy, because if that were to happen, 10 years after Forrest's passing, or 20 or 30 or whatever, everybody's going to say there's a spiritual component to that. The guy that found the treasure is very much like Forrest Fenn. And I think you're going to have to be. I think, and I don't think necessarily it's a guy. Forgive me for not for making it.
I just want to say thanks, Toby and Shelley, and I like to hear a lot of people's comments. So I'll sign off here and keep doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you very much. We enjoy it. Thanks a lot for calling in.
Okay. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Okay, I've got some text questions that we've got to answer, so hold your phone calls for just a second. Oh, this one's a long one. Let's see. Do you think Forrest Fenn is looking for the right person? Okay, he has that. My wife bought me the book Too Far to Walk for Christmas and got me thinking, do you think the treasure is real? Yes, I do. I'm wondering if maybe Forrest Fenn made his own treasure using his knowledge of what could have been. I think it would have been great if everything, including the chest, was made by Fenn himself. It may be the biggest part as far as legality. If everything could be proven to be original Forrest Fenn produced, maybe it would be easier to transfer ownership. I think there might be something in that, but I don't think. I think that's overcomplicating it. It really doesn't make any difference whether he made it or not. The simple fact of the matter is, he owned it, right? He had title to it, and he's giving that title to you if you find the treasure. So I don't think it's that difficult. Oh, I missed Christy. Christy calling quick. Let's see. So this is Paul Ammons again, just for. Oh no, that's So he's asking, did you like the items? I don't know. Paul, I don't know. You're going to have to give me some more help there. So, okay. So,
go ahead, Christy. Call.
Christy.
She tried twice.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if I got it. Yeah, it is. All right. Hi, sweetie.
Hello. How are you?
Good. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. I tried a couple times. I wanted to take my time.
I
so
saw that.
I would say hello tonight.
It's all a matter of timing, isn't it? The minute you hear them get off, you got to make that don't worry about my text messages, right? So the minute you hear them get off, dial that number because there's a 15-second delay.
I forget about the delay. As we saw in trivia last night,
Yeah.
I forgot about the delay. So I just thought, hey, I'll call in and
Shelley and I were both watching, and as you know, we're together on Thursdays. We were both watching, and I was on my computer, which is connected to the internet via Ethernet. She was on her computer, which is connected to the same system, but not through Ethernet, but through the wireless thing. And literally, there was a 5-second delay between the two computers, right? So it was we were at a state where we were seeing answers before we actually saw you ask the question. Like, whoa, there's some real fast systems out there.
Well, and it was even funnier because I watched it back today, and some people were saying, I didn't even see your question in chat.
Yeah.
The first one that I put in, I think it was question 3 or 4. And when I looked back, it didn't even register. It registered for half the people, but when you registered back in chat, it didn't register at all. And so Mike and I, goodness gracious, we might have a job, but we spent a little bit of time today. We figured out we're gonna do a second pilot.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think we found a way, but I'll probably have to go offline with you because you are the technical guru of all things in the world of YouTube. But I think we found a way. We were going to try to go live tonight, but it would have been too soon, and we didn't want to conflict with tonight.
No, it'll be fun.
I'm going to be on Friday Fenndango.
Yeah, I look forward to it, and let us know, and we'll promote it for the day that you're going, because I thought it would have been a lot of fun. We were having fun just trying to answer the questions. Shelley was on as the softer side, and I was on as what? Oh, HK Media. So, no, I wasn't. I was on as. Was that? Oh, it wasn't HK Media.
Yeah, I think it was HK Media. I think that was. I think that was it. I saw both of you in there, and there was a lot of people that are usually lurkers, but they thought, oh, I know the answer, and they jumped in, and that was super fun to see some people that I just have not, I might have seen on the forums, but I have not seen actually put comments in. So we have a way around that. We're getting creative. So just give us a week or two, and everybody's been super nice about not giving us too hard of a time because we're trying to figure it out. We're just trying to bring something new to the community. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to it. We thought it was a lot of fun. We were, of course, as disappointed as everybody else that there was something completely out of your control. It wasn't your fault. So we look forward to the corrected version. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I was going to ask you.
Expect that in the next few days.
We look forward to it.
Yeah.
We did pick a winner. We're not going to bring it up, the winner or the title, until next Wednesday when we do our show next Wednesday. We had a lot of fun with it. We actually came to the same conclusion, independent of one another. So I will, when I mention the name, I'll get information so you can send him him or her. We don't know, do we?
No, it was sort of a generic.
Yeah, him or her.
Well, I think the only thing you ruled out, some people said you contributed, and does that mean if you win, what happens? I think the only thing you have confirmed is it's not me, and so I'm fine with that. But we will figure out if they just want to know that, like, I can send it to you, I can send it to them directly. I do have to say everything's with Mike. So Mike is involved in some way, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out quickly.
We'll figure it out.
We're just happy to be a part.
Oh well, we were grateful that you made the offer, and we certainly want to take advantage of it for this particular person. Like I said, the name was neutral, not neutered. Wrong word. was neutral, so we don't know if it's a male or a female. But we both liked it. We came to the same conclusion, independent of one another, and that's why we liked it. And the nice thing about it is it immediately generated thoughts about how we'd brand it and fit it into the thing, and so it was a lot of fun for us. We played with it all night last night. So, well, not all night.
Yeah, that's great. And we're hoping that by saying what we said, it generated a few more people, because Non-silver coins, I haven't followed exactly on eBay, but the first silver coin went up, and I think it went for almost $500.
Oh, really? Wow.
So when people say, "Oh, these are small treasure hunts,"
yeah.
Well, if small is $500 to you, I know the first person was 47, and he's like, "I have to convince my wife I need to get boots on the ground money."
Yeah.
And this is going to enable him to go boots on the ground.
And that's a good a reason
excited,
to put it on eBay as any. You know, if what it's generating
yeah.
for you is enough income to go boots on the ground without it affecting your checking account, so much the better.
Yep.
Because it can be expensive. So when will we see you out here again?
I will say that's a trick question. You will probably see me before you know it.
Okay.
That's all I'll have to say. I mean, there's always something happening. I travel almost every month, and so I have my next few trips planned, and so I'll shoot you offline. I'm just might be blowing through town, and so you know that I've hit some work things that are in your area. So I might just be saying hi before you even realize it.
Well, we look forward to it. And what's neat about this place that we're moving into is it's, generally speaking, much closer to Cynthia and much closer to Shelley. So it'll be easy to plan something around that. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun if we can do that.
Okay. So. Nice.
Yeah, a lot of fun. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you when you get out here.
Shameless shout out.
Go ahead.
The only thing that I want to say is Mike did his first boots on the ground, and I don't know if you saw, he actually won the boots on the ground clothing $1,500 hunt, and he is bloody. But he got it at the end. He went 5 different days, and he put out the video today, and he went, I get it now. I get it why people go so many times to their location. He knew he was close. He didn't want to give up. And so if Mike's looking for a search partner, I now see he has the tenacity to make it happen. So I was super excited to see all that he did. And so good for you, Mike. I just wanted to give him a shout out because it was a road for him. Anybody who hasn't had boots on the ground and they say they know what we all go through, he is a great example of no, you really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see. We did watch it, and I don't think we've ever questioned Mike's intellectual capacity. We all know. All you have to do is spend a little time with him, and you know he has the kind of mind that works these puzzles out, and he's been doing it for a long time. And the only thing that was missing was that boots on the ground experience. And I kind of figured once he had it, he would get hooked. And that was an indication that he did because it wasn't an easy hike. And I know he bloodied himself and he ruined a good pair of sneakers in the process. So, but that's the way it is, you know, and I was glad to see it. I was really happy to see it for him. And I felt good for him, not only that he, made the effort, put boots on the ground, but he found the prize. So even better. So congratulations to him.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. Well, thank you for calling in tonight. We look forward to hearing the new trivia show. We will be there, and we will look forward to enjoying it with you guys.
Okay. You and Shelley have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So I wanted to answer Justin's question. He said, Shelley and Toby, I think you should have your spouses on. The fans of your show would like to see them and see what they think about the chase. You want to address that?
I wrote it there.
Oh, okay.
I answered, Toby's not married, and my husband doesn't want to be on YouTube, but he is very supportive, and he goes on. He likes to go with us when we go places because he just likes to have fun out in the outdoors.
Yeah. Kevin, Shelley's husband, is not only Shelley's husband, but he's my good friend. And I when I talk about who my friends are, he's in that list at in the top 10 friends. And we spend a lot of time together. He likes going with us. He likes going, I don't want to say with us. When we go out searching, we go as the three of us with equal rights and responsibilities and equal commitment and equal opportunity to express their thoughts, ideas, et cetera, et cetera. And he's literally one of those people that if you say, I need somebody to help me mount my TV at the new house, he'll say, what time? And he's as long as I've known him. He when he heard I was thinking about buying a house, he started collecting boxes. He works at the Albuquerque Sunport on the ramp, and he started collecting boxes for me. And every night, every time he'd come to pick up Shelley on his way home, he would drop off 3 or 4 boxes, and that's the kind of person he is. He's just a very, very thoughtful person, and he's good to be around, and he's funny. He makes me laugh. He's got just a very I don't want to say it's different. He's just funny, and it's fun being around people that make you laugh. My son is like that. Jason is like that. Jason,
you're pretty easy to make laugh. You're a jolly person.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun to have them around because they do make me happy. So he is a really great guy. Kevin is a really great guy. I haven't been married since 2004. And when you've not been married for that length of time, 15 years, you get used to being single. And there's a lot of freedom and independence that goes along with that. And because my children are grown and on their own, that gives me even more freedom from responsibility. So it's actually in a good place to be. And being retired, I have the time to do it. But I have good friends in Shelley and Kevin and several other people that you guys probably have heard me talk about. It's from Davio.
Oh, well, while you're answering that, I'm going to answer a question really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So Butterfly Baby.
Hey, Davio, hold on for just a second.
I know that you're new. If you would, when you're asking us a question, start it with the @AGK, and then we'll make sure that we see it. But she's asking, do you feel if Forrest replies to emails after you send pictures, do you think he feels that you are close? Personally, what I think is no. He's just being kind to people when they go to all the trouble of sending him photos or something, and he wants to encourage you to continue to be a part of the chase, especially if you're a new searcher. So doesn't mean you're close, doesn't mean you're far away either, doesn't mean either one.
Yeah. And the only bad thing about it now, Butterfly Baby, is that, oh, that's even cute to say. Oh, dang nabbit. I lost Davio. I was asking him to hold. And Davio, please call back. I didn't mean to ignore you. It was just that Shelley was answering a question. I didn't want to interrupt her. What was I saying? Oh, Butterfly Baby. He's stepping back from the search. He announced in February that he was stepping back from the search, and then he was going to spend less time responding to emails. So if he doesn't respond to one of your emails, please do not take it personally. He's just going through a transitionary period where he's trying to step back from the treasure. So I do have a question. Davio, if you can hear me, call me back. So this is from 320. They say Chaco Canyon or Toltec Gorge. You stated both as locations of the chest. Ooh, I don't know where you picked up on that. I have never stated that the treasure chest is at either Chaco Canyon or Toltec Gorge ever. I don't. It's not in either one of those locations. Let me make the change. Hi, this is Toby. Who's calling? Where are you calling from? And what's your question?
Did we lose him again?
No. Well,
or is that call waiting?
Yeah, he's in call waiting. Who's this? Who's on the line right now? Oh, okay. Let me see.
My name is
Davio?
We keep losing people.
Hey, what's happening, Mr. Toby?
Hey, Davio. Hang on. Let me do your intro music.
The Fringe.
Yeah, we like it. So what are you up to, sir? How's California?
California be having a little bit of snow. It's pretty cold out here. I've been going through a little bit of that. I'm going to lose it. My Wi-Fi suddenly just crapped out on me.
Oh.
I just wanted to say hi and thank you to everybody out there. And, you know, what's interesting is I give you title to the gold, I believe is the title of the book.
The title, I give you title to the book, is the title of which book?
Yeah, The Thrill
Thrill of the Chase, the one that's relevant to the poem here. Thrill of the Chase. The of is interesting how it's on the top row of the periodic table. So I'm thinking there's a little bit of code going on there with the letters in the front of the book. I believe the book itself is part of the clues we're all looking for. Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. The of is right there. It's where it's oxygen and faradine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's got to be there's something about, and I really can't go into great detail, but there's definitely something about all that.
You know what you need to do. I know you have a YouTube channel, and the challenge I think on your part is that you have a YouTube channel, but you don't want to share too much. You don't want to go too far in sharing your thoughts. But I think what you ought to do is make these, videos where you're literally like Michael Hool does, face the camera and share your thoughts. Yeah. And I think you would get a lot of views. I think your thoughts, whether it's because you're.
Well, that's interesting, Toby. I really haven't. I wanted to create a channel as much as just be able to have a conversation with people who are talking about the chess, because there's nobody around me I can have a conversation with. So I'm all excited about information I have, and I wanted to share some of it just to kind of spur some inspiration, because I know you got fried on this whole thing. This can really wear you down.
Yeah, yeah.
So the morale that you need to keep up to keep going until you get something that confirms you're actually even close to being right to something is why I participate in all this. If I find the chess, then I'd want to do a YouTube channel and kind of, do something about imagination and kind of keep the hunt going.
Right.
Because I think there's a great community here, and I would love to see that continue on.
Yeah.
So, that's I'm torn to going on air or it's,
Well,
so I just wanted to send love. My phone's going to just gotta go, but I just wanted to tell everybody. Then I'll watch you online because I got you muted. Just want to send love to everybody out there. Stay safe. I'm waiting for this. I'll go live, and so I can share the humiliation and victory on what I think is where it is.
All right, and that's what that's all about, right? There's nothing better than humble pie, baby. I've eaten a lot of it.
I can dig it. Okay, thanks, Toby. Love you, Shelley. Ciao.
What a great guy. Yeah, Chaco Canyon. No, I do not think the treasure chest is a Chaco Canyon, nor have I ever stated that. I stated that Chaco Canyon is a wonderful place to visit. Toltec Gorge is a dangerous place to visit. I don't believe the treasure is there. One of the last of our search areas is an area just before the Rio de los Pinos enters into Toltec Gorge, but we don't believe the treasure. Once you're in Toltec Gorge, you're in rough terrain, and certainly not the kind of terrain that an 80-year-old would be comfortable in flowing around. So let's see. Can I get intro music? Tony F., the theme from Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. Tony, all right, if you find me that clip, send it to me and I'll give it to you. Let's see. Butterfly Baby says, good night to you and thank you for answering questions, and good night to all. She's leaving us, Butterfly Baby. Let's see who's calling here. Hey, it's Toby. Who's calling and where are you calling from and what's your question?
My name's Toby. I'm calling from Maine, and I have several questions.
Yeah, so,
talk to Toby.
Are you serious that your name is Toby? Because there's not a lot of us around.
Yep, this is.
Oh, T-O-B-Y, Toby.
Yeah, you don't sound like the guy on TV though.
I don't. I'm not on TV. On YouTube. I'm on YouTube, right? Are you talking about YouTube?
Hey, Shelley, right?
Yeah, Shelley and Toby. That's us. Go ahead. Ask me a question that would validate that it's me.
Well, you probably know this better than anyone. I'm kind of curious, when he came down with cancer.
Yeah.
He came up with the idea of hiding the chest. How come it took so long before he actually did it?
Well, as he claims, if you listen to the first few minutes of the Moby Dickens video, his response to that exact question was, I got well. And when he got well, he focused on other things. It wasn't as important. You got to remember that the cancer was what stimulated the idea of taking a treasure, hiding it, and dying next to the treasure. That was the plan. So the plan wasn't necessarily to hide a treasure and have people find it. This wasn't ever going to be a public event, right? So he wanted to die where he wanted to die in a location, and he wanted to, he claimed he wanted to wrap himself. He's described it in a couple of ways. I wanted to throw myself on that treasure, or I wanted to wrap myself around that treasure, take some pills, and die. So the plan wasn't his plan. His initial plan wasn't to make it public. It wasn't until years later that he started talking with others, and it started becoming part of what he believed to be his legacy. And so that's when it changed.
How many years was it?
Well, it depends what you believe. So in different formats, he said that he got sick in 1988, and then he said it took him 15 years to develop the poem, and then he hid the treasure. But if you look at the time between 1988 and the time when he publishes the book and claims that he hid the treasure when he was 79 or 80, well, he was, in 1988, he was 58, right? So...
Right, that's why I was just thinking. It was a long time between him getting sick and saying, I'm going to hide a treasure,
right,
and actually doing it.
But it was there was two different things. So the getting sick, it wasn't... In 1988, it wasn't getting sick and hiding a treasure. It was getting sick and dying the way that he wanted to die. It had nothing to do with hiding a treasure, right?
I was just thinking that he was... I just couldn't understand why he put it off so long if that was something he wanted to do.
Yeah. The original plan, his original plan was, I want to die the way, I want to take it with me. That was a conversation he had with Ralph Lauren. Who says you can't take it with you? It was a discussion of how he wanted to die, not how he wanted to hide a treasure. The hide a treasure thing didn't become a viable idea for him until the mid-90s, and it evolved, and he worked it out, and eventually he claims that he wrote the book. You know, it took him time to develop the poem. There was no poem. In 1988, there was no poem. There was no, I'm going to hide a treasure and give you a poem to find it. There was, I'm taking my treasure, and I'm going to die, and if you find it, you've got a pretty good thing going. So that's the difference. That was the difference.
So do you think he was accumulating the things for the chest during those 15 years? I see in the chest, he's got certified gold coins.
Yeah.
He had to go out and buy those. He
right.
Didn't find those.
Yeah. So I think the first version of the chest was very different from the chest that he finally hid. And there are actually, if you go out to the internet, there are actually photographs of a very different chest of contents, right? It's very different. There's watches in there. There are things that wouldn't tolerate being left in the outdoors. There was a very sophisticated middle 17th century pocket watch, although it was about that big around. In the first versions of the chest, you see that watch. If you look at those objects that are in that chest, it's very different from the one that he actually ended up filling, which has mostly objects that could tolerate the environment, that could tolerate the hostilities of the environment. And so I think...
So you
go ahead.
Do you honestly believe it's sitting right out in this, buried with snow right now? It's just out there.
No, and if that's how you interpret what I said, I don't mean that. I believe it's out there, and I believe it's secured in a place that provides it a relative amount of protection. I don't think it's out in the snow. I think snow could blow in on it in the same way that dust or tumbleweeds could blow in on it. But I don't think it's just placed out. I think you have to look for it.
Under an overhang or...
Yeah. And once you've gone...
I've been out a couple times.
And you should know by now that in places like New Mexico and Colorado and Wyoming, where you're in locations above 5,000 feet and below 10,200 feet, you're in not only mountainous area, you're in rocky areas. and those rocks are there in what is best described as a haphazard way, and it leaves great opportunity for lots of things to be hidden in lots of locations, you know. And when you have all you have is this.
The place we went, there was no question that people would be within 200 feet because rafters would be going right by it almost daily in the summertime.
Yeah, in our theory, along the Rio de los Pinos, he used to say searchers have been within 200 feet and people have been within 500 feet, meaning that the people that were within 500 feet were not searchers. Well, it turns out that the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad passes within 500 feet of our search area. The folks would never know that. The folks on that railroad would never know.
Do you believe the key word in the poem is the word "it"?
I have.
That tells the whole story?
Shelley and I have had hours worth of debates of what the key word is, and we do not know. I will just tell you flat out. We have no idea what the key word is. We thought for the longest time it was...
filled in if you replace the word "it" with a certain river, every time it pops up in the map, it fits.
Oh.
And even when he tells you that there'll be no paddle up your creek, he's telling you need to find a certain river. And I believe he calls that river a creek at the end.
Yeah.
He's telling you you're looking for a river. And that river is guiding you to it.
Well,
that's what I believe.
We certainly think that there is a stream, creek, or river, within close proximity to where the treasure is hidden.
Yeah, it's almost like he makes it like he doesn't want it found, because every time he gives you a clue, the clue has multiple possibilities. Even like Meek, it could be a Meek fishing reel. It could be Joseph Meek, the area he talks about in the book. It could be Meek as in everything. So if you put the combinations of 3 to 5 different possibilities,
right,
it's like astronomical where it could be over 4 states.
Yeah, well, that...
and he says all you need is a poem and a map, but if you had just that poem, you wouldn't know it was in those 4 states.
Right, exactly. And that's the problem,
have to have the
right?
book to tell you, in the Rocky Mountains.
That's what you discover when you go first boots on the ground. You discover, A, the problem is bigger than you imagined, and B, your first solution was nowhere near close. That's true for everybody that goes out on their first boots on the ground.
All I know is when we were out there, you feel very small all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
Land is very vast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you guys' effort and everything you're doing. I hope this gets found before he passes on, because I think it's going to be chaos after that. All kind of frauds.
Yeah. There's going to be once he passes, it's going to be a whole different world.
I think he's going to have to give somebody a hint to find this. I don't think it's going to be found just on the poem.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be any more hints or clues so. All right, sir.
I'd like to see him narrow, knock a state off. Right now it feels like a tourism.
Yeah, I think
people in
I think
tourist in the area.
K-Pro tried to convince him of that once, and she was rebuffed strongly. Yeah. All right, Toby from Maine, thanks for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a good evening. Okay, guys, I am going to turn the phone off because we're after the 9 o'clock hour, and I know my partner has other things that she has to get taken care of, and Kevin will be home soon, right? So do we have any questions that we have to answer before we get off? Or are you answering them all while
there's questions in there, but I think it'll take you a while to get through them all if you want to gather them up for next week.
Oh, for next week? All right. Well, if I didn't get to them tonight, make sure that when we get together next week, we talk about them. AGK Media. Shelley, Toby started to say what you two thought the keyword. Well, no, because we never agreed, Hooli. We never agreed on what the key word was. Shelley had hers and I had mine. Mine was treasures. I thought that was the key word. And the reason I thought it was the key word is because it would be very easy to use in a cipher because of the way it's constructed. So, but we've never, I don't know that have we ever agreed on the key word?
No.
No. So not even the two of us have ever agreed on it. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And
we were so glad to have you this evening, and thanks for joining us in the chat room and for all your great calls and comments tonight. For AGK Media, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday when you will see our new branding for Wednesday night, and we'll announce the winner of the silver coin. So we hope you join us on that night. If I missed your question tonight, text it to the toll-free number that's scrolling below me at some point here, and I'll make sure that we answer it the next time, all right? You guys have a great Friday evening and a great weekend. We'll see you next week on Wednesday.